All right, recording.
All right. Counting down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of OKCast, where this episode is actually very nice. We're doing a collaboration episode with RxUnedited. So this special episode is for you guys. It's been a while, and I'll go off and introduce myself. My name is Thinh, host of OKCast.
And I'm Alan.
And I'm Vince.
And my name is Duong. You probably already know me, and we're from RxUnedited.
Nice.
So I guess we can just jump right into it.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and we're all like in one way or another professionals sitting around this table. So can you guys share what your professions is?
So I'm Vince, and I am a bioinformatician, meaning I am a scientist who works on the computer a lot and analyzes data, a lot of biological data. A lot of my projects involve analyzing DNA sequences. And yeah, that's kind of what a bioinformatician is.
You are also a PhD.
Correct.
Correct.
That is my graduate degree.
So wait, it's a PhD in what?
It's in biomedical sciences.
Nice.
But that's still a very, very broad term, because a lot of people, even if you have a PhD, you can do cancer research, or in my case, I do microbiome research, and you can go into like many different fields, but it's just under the umbrella of biomedical.
And I'm Alan. I'm a physical therapist. Professional experience is primarily in pediatrics, but now currently I'm doing travel PT, more older population, geriatric mostly.
My name's Thinh. I'm currently a registered nurse. However, I'm in the process of starting a travel nursing assignment. I haven't started yet, but it will be soon. Yeah, you working in acute care. Used to be working in an acute care hospital. Now I'm just waiting to start again in another acute care hospital in the ICU.
Yeah, the traveling jobs are really blowing up now with all the shortages around the country. So, yeah, guys.
It's a big wave of healthcare. It's like, I would say unprecedented, you know. I'm not so sure about physical therapy, but there's been a huge nursing shortage throughout the U.S. Just due to like COVID and then the vaccine mandate, and just COVID just really wore out a lot of nurses and just kind of put them either out of commission, like I guess into retirement, or just fell on another profession because there's just too much to work with.
It feels that way for physical therapy too, because the new job that I just started, we're going through orientation. At least like half of them are travelers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's so I just went to a class today, and it was like 10 kids. 6 of them are travelers.
So what happens with like the local hospitals then, right? Because instead of hiring the local nurses and like physical therapists, like why is everyone going to like different places instead of just like hiring locally?
That is a thing. No, because no one's applying. Because right now, there are people applying. It's just that a lot of people are leaving to either go in retirement or to do travel nursing, because nurses are now realizing that travel nursing is paying a lot more than you would as a local / staff nurse. So, I mean,
because you're getting paid like quadruple the rate that normal nurses would be paying.
Yeah, at least three times, at least double, but up to 3 to 4 times what you were getting paid as a staff nurse.
It's like
So-
a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, there are some things that can hold nurses back from traveling. Like they have a family, they can't take kids with them sometimes. I mean, if they work it out, that's perfect. Like that's a great opportunity. You should definitely take it. However, I mean, some people have significant others who aren't in the nursing field, have to stay home or work from home, you know, or go to their 9 to 5 job physically. So there are a lot of conditions that a lot of nurses have to face if they were to do travel nursing, you know. But
That's like a good transition into what or why I really want to do a collab with you guys today is because, you know, I've listened to your shows and you guys talk a lot about just being well. Like how do you be well? And not just physically, but also mentally. And I think some of your episodes when you invited us, like, you know, in our friend groups on to your show, it's like, you know, like you share tips, you share advices, and you just talk about, oh, like, what am I doing to stay well? And that's and I think that's really cool. Like, that's awesome. Because, you know, I feel like there are people listening and they're like, oh yeah, like I should start doing that. I should start doing this. So hopefully getting you on the show, you can spread some of those vibes.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not like gurus or anything, but we'll
None of us
share.
are.
Yeah, we'll share what helps us. You know.
That's basically what it is. Like, we're talking from very personal experience. Like, I've had trouble with this, and this is how I've dealt with it. You know, or like, this idea or thought got me stuck, and then this is the strategies that I took to fix it. And we just put it out there in the hopes that people will, you know, learn something from it.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing that a lot of people aren't realizing is they're not alone. You know, whatever they're going through, they're not alone. Like, we all have our own struggles, our own problems, and our own obstacles in everyday life that we overcome. So you're never alone. And whatever issue, whatever problem that you're going through, there's likely someone else out there who is either going through the same thing or has been through the same thing and can definitely share their experience and help you get over whatever you're trying to get over.
Right. How much mental health stuff do you have to deal with? Do you have patients that you see regularly, like they come in week to week or month to month, and then they recognize you?
So I don't do a lot of patient education on what I do. Like, there are other pharmacists who's like really heavy with education, so they definitely see repeats, like, of patients coming back. But for me, it's not just even patients; it's like the people that I work with, or it's the people that I know, or like my friends, for example, or like the people that I work with, you know, or the people that I encounter and that confide in me. So it's just like, plus now I feel like there's a big push for mental health just because of COVID in the last couple of years. I feel like people are cooped up inside, and you know, more people are getting depressed and having more, you know, like, because they're socializing less, so they don't have anyone to talk to, and then it become a big problem. And with burnout too, like what Thinh was saying, nurses are leaving because they feel burnout. You know, all the pressure, all this.
COVID in general has been such a huge, like, dark cloud over mental health. It's like, it affects nurses' mental health. It affects, like, everyday people who are just afraid to go outside or, like, afraid to hang out with their own family members, you know?
Yeah. It also ignites, like, a darker side in people, like, because all the people are angrier, right? They can't do now they're being told they can't do this, they can't do that, they can't go here, they can't go there, you know. And when they go to work, they have to deal with, like, especially in the healthcare field, they have to, like, see people, like, back when COVID was at its peak, like, people were dying left and right because of COVID. So, like, it's a tough place to be in during that time, especially for nurses.
All the stress, like, builds up from work and everything.
Definitely, I would say, like, during my work in the heaviest times of COVID, it just felt like, I mean, when you get in this profession, I don't know, people have different reasons for it, like either money or actually to help people. For me, I went in because I thought, like, I mean, I know I want to help people. However, in this case, whenever I'm coming to work, I just feel like I'm not really saving anyone. I'm more so just kind of prolonging their death in an ICU bed.
So let me ask you this then, Thinh.
It just felt bad.
How did you manage to avoid the burnout? How did you avoid getting like so weighed down by all this like death that other nurses, like other nurses are quitting their jobs because of this? How did you survive it?
I don't know. I honestly, there's at one point where I was really stretched thin. I was talking to my coworker. I was like, it was bad, but I was being tripled in an ICU, and that's a very unsafe scenario that you don't want to be yourself in.
Yeah.
Tripled meaning you had 3 patients.
A 3-patient assignment for one nurse in an ICU, where like any of them could be critically unstable, and like a code can happen, which would be very bad. It was bad to the point I was really stretched thin. I felt like I wasn't being able to thoroughly, adequately taking care of all of my patients, because I can only have enough time to do the bare necessities for each patient, but not be able to thoroughly like research and like figure out what's going on with them, talk to the provider and figure out what treatments we could be doing differently. That was the thing. And I once I get to one patient, I'm like thinking of my third patient. Like my third patient has been sitting there for the past 2 hours because I haven't been able to find the time to get to it. And I just like, it doesn't feel good when your patients are sitting there.
Yeah. Well, do you guys have like, this is like a question for all of you, since you're more in the direct healthcare field than I am, but is there like a support group that you guys can like go to and talk about these issues?
Actually, my workplace at the time did provide like a mental health or support group for for nurses to go to. I didn't really see, I don't know, maybe I didn't see much benefit in it at the time, or I didn't find it appealing to go to. But mentally for me, I did almost like tell my patient, I'm about to quit. Like this, wow. I am like so close to like quitting. I can't handle this right now.
Wow. There is support groups, because at the job that I'm at now, I was just like working at the desk, and then I just hear like a girl like 2 cubicles over just crying, just like so loud. She was like talking to we have what is called like care team coordinators or whatever. They just basically like help you with clinical questions. When you're on the field, you call them like, hey, I don't know what to do with this patient or whatever, or you can just go to them and be like, like vent about your patient, or like go through whatever problems you have. And I was just like, she was crying so loud, and it was like full sobs, like how people like just cry and they're like sniffling. Yeah. No, she was like
bawling,
like blubbering.
Yeah, you could hear like wailing. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what happened, what the actual story is, but I imagine it was like a patient like passed away while she was out on the field with them, which is why that's what I think what happened.
Yeah,
that's a hard thing to cope with.
Yeah.
Someone.
Yeah. So, I mean, burnout looks different for everyone, right? So like what do burnout look like for you guys? Vince, imagine when was the last time you felt really burnout? What did that look like?
For me, I think I've definitely experienced more burnout during COVID, just because of the amount of work that I guess managers have expected us to do, especially like once we're working from home. Because I guess one thing is because we don't have that time to commute, some managers expect you to just keep being productive even if you're at home. I had some coworkers who felt like that, and for me, my manager is okay. Like he makes sure that like we're taken care of and we take our breaks. But also, I guess for my mindset, sometimes because I feel like I'm at home and I work remotely, the computer is always there. And there's always more work to be done. So if I'm not doing work, like I'm just watching TV, I always feel like, I'm not being productive. I'm not contributing to,
that's interesting,
to the field.
We never really think about like how people who work from home have a whole different kind of anxiety. It's just like, because you work from home, that is your workplace. You can never leave your workplace.
Yeah.
It's always there.
Right.
And you're just like,
You develop some
Just
PTSD. Oh no, work. It's like right, the next,
yeah,
like
you-
the next new room over. Like, oh my god.
You
what
walk
is
by
it?
Exactly.
every time you walk by your like office, you're like,
You just flinch. I've been telling everyone, like, ever since we started working from home, that has like never been a situation where I can be the most productive and the most effective, just because of the anxiety of, my work is always there. When I was working, so when I was doing my PhD, you had to go, into the lab and do research. But then, afterwards, after, I finish my experiments, I can go home and relax.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it until like the next day. Nowadays, it's, my laptop's always there. So, I always have something to do. So I always feel that anxiety.
hey, why are you sitting around? Why aren't you doing more research?
You're right.
Sometimes like I'm scared, like maybe they're just peeking out at the camera, making sure I'm just like typing all the time, just doing something.
Wow.
So how do you manage that stress? Or like, what do you do to like separate home from work?
Yeah.
Even though they're the same place.
Right. So now my workplace has implemented a hybrid system where you can go into work whenever you can. So I try to take the opportunity to go in whenever I can. There are some days though I do get lazy and I still don't go in, but those are the days that I actually do feel more anxious at home, surprisingly, than like when I'm at work working. So that's one way. I try to go in as much as I can, and then at home I have a dedicated office space, so I try to work there. It doesn't always work. It always, if I'm like
When
having
you're done,
lunch,
you close the door, you lock it. All right.
that's a smart idea. I should probably get
Set a timer.
a lock and a key. Yeah.
It only unlocks after 2 hours.
Yeah, there's strategies I try to use, but they don't always, they don't always work.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy though, to be able to distinguish work versus home, or like work versus daily life. Because for me, like when I'm at work, it's like a different mindset that I have when I'm at
Yeah.
work versus when I'm home. It's a different mindset, right? I goof around more. I don't think about work all the time. But when I'm at work, all I can think of is, okay, what's my next project? When's the next deadline? What I need to do? Who I need to talk to? That kind of deal.
Yeah.
What's my emails looking like?
Yeah, that's like my same mindset as well. Like different locations, I have a different mindset.
Yeah. Alan, what does burnout look like for you?
Well, I deal directly with patients, so I think it's very similar to how like Thinh feels. It's the it's the number of patients, the volume, and it's the kind of patients that you see. So like there are some that are more severe than others, or some that are just non-cooperative. There's people who are just like they don't do what you want them to do, or there's people who are like don't take your medical advice seriously. You're like, all right, you are gonna throw a DVT, or you're gonna have a pulmonary embolism if you don't listen to me, and you will drop dead. And you're like, I guess I'll die then. I'm like, oh my god.
Wow.
It's just it's a mixture of both, like just how many patients you see. Like for me, I'm a very introverted person. I don't like socializing that much, so it's very hard for me to be in a patient-centered profession where all I do is deal with people day after day. So it's an interesting like dilemma.
So is it like putting yourself in like an uncomfortable environment each time you see a patient? Like, I gotta talk to this patient now. Like, at the like.
So what I do is I actually every morning I wake up a little bit earlier than I'm supposed to. Like let's say I need to leave the house by 8 to get to work by 9, or I wake up by 8 and then leave the house by 8:30 or something. I would just wake up at like 7:45 and lay there and just like muster the energy. It requires a lot of mental gymnastics for me to like, okay, I need to mentally prepare myself to deal with people or like socialize and interact with people. So I just wake up early and I just like work my way up to it. And then I'm like, okay, now I need to get up and get ready.
7:45. Okay, I'm psyched. Let's go.
Yeah. Literally, it's like I psych myself up.
Man, I didn't realize that about you. That's
Yeah.
really mind-opening.
I think a lot of professions or a lot of people with jobs kind of have like that same mindset as well. Like if you don't really love your job, you have to really psych yourself, to get up and go. It's the same thing with me. It's not like I'm not like in love with what I do, so like it's not like every day I'm like looking forward to like going in an office. I use my job more so as a as a means to
Means to an end,
means to an end. In general, I do like what I do, but like it's not my passion basically.
I don't like dealing with patients, but I think there are aspects of physical therapy that can involve physical therapy but not patient care. They could be like research or some care team stuff. Like they'll call me while they're in the field and be like, hey, I have a physical therapy question, and then I can answer it for them but not have to deal with the patient.
Could you pivot to something?
Yeah, but right now I'm just like trying to build experience so that I can do that in the future.
Yeah, I feel like right now you're paying your dues so that you can get there.
Exactly.
Right?
Plus, I'm making a lot of money.
That's nice. That's a
plus.
That's a big motivation for a lot of us.
Yeah, for sure. That's a bonus right there, for sure. But I guess in terms of burnout for me, you can definitely tell at work. You can see on people's faces they're just not as happy. People are just more stressed, at least in the work environment that I'm in. And if burnout to me is what really comes out to be when your work definitely affects your home environment as well. Like if you're taking this work with you at home, if you're stressed at work and you're taking that stress back home with you too, and you don't feel like doing anything at home, then I think the burnout's there. Like your passion is gone, your motivation is gone. You're just kind of dreading every time you have to go back to work, and you're just taking some of your work with you home, and it's affecting your home life. You're not doing anything to help yourself at home either.
Have you experienced that recently?
Recently, no. Let me think about this. I was definitely burnt out tired with my workplace because of the working conditions that it was giving me,
I mean, that can contribute to burnout too.
Yeah.
Like environment.
But it really wasn't affecting my home environment, Like I just knew I want to say outgrown, but I've gained enough experience there that I wasn't growing enough anymore. I've learned not everything, but mostly anything that I can there. And I think being somewhere else would definitely be beneficial for me.
That's a part of well-being too. Feeling complacent and not feeling like you're growing as a professional and you're not developing your skills more. You feel stuck. That can affect your mental health too.
I guess
you got out.
I'm out. Yeah. I felt like I was being trapped there for a while. I was like, I gotta find a way out of here. I gotta find another place. Luckily, a lot of places had a lot of openings, so I had a lot of friends and families contacting me to see whether or not I would be interested in joining their hospital or a packy position, so a prestige hospital, But yeah, and luckily I just laid out all my options. I figured out that travel nursing was the best thing for me.
Yeah.
But other than that, have I felt burnout? I guess you could say so. It definitely hasn't affected with me.
You are burnout, of that place.
Yeah, of that place.
Of that hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all felt burnout one time or another. Doesn't even have to be work. It can just be something that, part of our responsibility.
Yeah.
We're just tired of it, and then, it's important. I think it's important to realize it, to recognize it, and then in order to do something about it, you have to recognize it. So that's I think that's really important to be able to recognize what burnout looked like for you, and then we can help get better. And one of the things that you can do to get better is self-care. Yeah. And I think this is huge for me. It's just self-care, taking care of yourself, be kind to yourself, loving yourself, in some of your past episodes, you've mentioned a lot about self-care too. So what are some
We're
some
all
things
about self-care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the self-care tips that I can give, this goes back to what you mentioned earlier, is about self-care. You said self-care is not just physical but mental, but I think part of self-care should be physical as well.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, since I started working remotely, one thing that I've kind of neglected was my physical health, and I feel like that was definitely taking a toll on me. Like first physically, I just felt bad, without my body. Like before I got my remote job, I was going to the gym regularly, and then I sort of stopped that for like a little bit before COVID, and then definitely during COVID, I didn't work out at all, and only started recently. And I feel so much better right now. Like first, I get the gains from going to the gym, but
I can talk all day about this.
Please do.
Yeah, you're in this.
This is literally my job. So, physical health and mental health are tied so closely that there are studies that show that people live, I was looking at a study with people 80 years or older or something, 65 years and older. They live, the median life expectancy increased by 10 years from geriatric people doing exercise, because they feel better. That makes them more like it's a cycle. So if your body feels better, you're more excited to do things, and then the more you do things, the happier you are, and then it feeds into itself.
You heard it from a physical therapist. And it's not like heavy exercise, right? Like it doesn't have to be anything intense.
I'm a physical therapist. I only do 30 minutes of exercise a day.
Yeah,
that's all you really need.
That's all you need.
You need like people who work out like an hour at the gym. Like good for them, but even if you just get like 10-minute sessions 3 times a day, like you just do it at home, you'll start to feel better. Which makes you like more alert, more active, and then that makes you work out more, and then it just like keeps going.
So not a vicious cycle, but a happy cycle.
Yeah.
A positivity cycle.
What is that saying? You look good, you feel good.
You eat
Right?
good.
It goes both ways though. So if you are not exercising, you're more likely to develop depression, anxiety, and other problems.
In some ways, I think it goes back to our instinct, like our basic human instinct as a species. So like think about it, like when we were cavemen, right? Like it goes all the way back to that. Like stress is always around us. Doesn't matter what time period. As cavemen, there's we always have to be on the lookout for other predators, right? So
fight or flight.
Yeah, that fight or flight response. So if you hear leaves rustling in the bushes afar, like you become anxious as a person, as a human. You become anxious. Like what the heck is in that bush? Is it a tiger or is it a little rabbit that's gonna jump out at me, right? Are you gonna stand there and wait to see what jumps out at you? No, you're gonna run, right? I'm not taking my chance if that's a tiger or if that's a dinosaur. You're gonna run. You're gonna do something about it. So you're physically doing something to address your anxiety, your stress. Now, in the modern day today, we don't have tigers on the loose in the bushes. We don't have dinosaurs in the bushes, but we have other stress factors. We have
houses and mortgages to worry about.
Right. So like responsibilities,
Just we still have stress. It's just not a life or death stress, but it's still stress.
Yeah.
And it still trigger that fight or flight response. Like if you get in a car, you drive somewhere, you're already anxious. You're already stressed, right? If you're starting to drive, you're already anxious. You're like, oh my God, like, is this person going to hit me from behind? Like, am I going to get in an accident today? Why is this person cutting me off? You're already going through all that. You're already under stress. Just driving. So
I was just talking about this the other day with someone. Like, driving tires me out so much because you're making thousands and thousands of micro decisions a second, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
And and then there's real big like decisions like you're making in real time, but then there's a million of like tiny processes you're making, like, and then by the end of it, I'm like, whew.
Yeah, you're just tired from like having all that thinking.
On top of those decisions, you're making observations on top of that.
yeah,
And
you always
make-
have to look out for things.
Exactly, and then you make decisions based on those observations too, and you have your own logical process on why you're making these decisions. I'm like, all right, so there's a red light going on here. There's no turn on red signs. There's no cars going by. I think I'm gonna make this right turn now. It's like
Yeah, and I guess that's why I think just being active or exercising helps, because it helps release all that, like you're physically doing something. You're doing something physically
Yep.
to kind of relieve that anxiety, relieving that stress. So I
Yeah.
think that's why a lot of
You're directing a lot of your like energy into something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So even people who don't exercise, if they have like projects they do, like passion projects or like things that they hone in on, and they just direct all of their energy towards like their new hobby or something. That's
Mhm.
also a way to like channel all that like
That negative
anxiety,
energy into something.
Yeah. Like, if you're into like building houses or something as your hobby,
dude.
I'm gonna build the heck out of that house.
That explains a
today.
lot, because
Yeah.
recently I've been feeling like, I don't know, I feel like my anxiety has been getting up to me recently, but I think like ever since, not since I've been living in this house, but I think it has crept up with me after living in this house since I moved in. And I realized I don't have any of my boxing gear here, which I use at my parents' house as a way for me to vent or express myself. I like to hit my my boxing double bag or my boxing bob or punching bag, I guess you can say.
You have a speed bag too, I remember, right?
Not a speed bag, but the double end bag is
Oh.
where it's like tied to the But yeah, I use that. I think ever since I stopped using it, I just like I'm kind of like bottling things up, and like anxiety has been kind of getting to me a little bit recently. But I'm trying to get my best to get everything over here so I can start doing that again.
Yeah. So, I've heard this on a TED Talk. The lady was like, if you ever feel like you really like, if you just experience something that made you really anxious, and you feel like it's like eating you up, it's really in there.
Mm-hmm.
She said, just do like 10 jumping jacks, real quick. Just go outside, do 10 jumping jacks. Just do something physically about it. You know, like get your body going, get your blood pressure going. You know, so and then you feel better.
I approve this message.
Yes.
Nice. The minimal I've been doing is just doing pull-ups, and that's helping me get by just a little bit. But I really want to like exert my negative energy onto Bob, for example. So my punching Bob. So
I think that's why I enjoy hiking so much. So I love hiking and camping and stuff. I think hiking it's not a very demanding activity, but it can be, you know, and it's very satisfying when you're just like, wow, I walked like 5.5 miles. I feel great, you know, and it's a combination of like mental health and physical health, because you're looking around at nature and you feel so at peace, and you're just like, and you're working out. It's like, everybody should go hiking.
And you get all that fresh air that
Yeah.
you don't get in the city.
That's true.
Yeah.
Be one with nature, yo.
Hmm. For me, I enjoy hiking as well. For me, hiking also serves as a way to kind of like change the pace that I'm at. Like it slows me down.
Yeah.
Like at work, sometimes I get really caught up with different things. And I'm like, I feel really like anxious or like angsty. I'm like, I'm just twitchy. So going hiking, it just like slows you down, kind of like mellow me out, and like kind of a good reset in a way.
I think hiking is also a good opportunity to reflect on yourself as well. As you're like walking, you know, at a good moderate speed that you can handle, and you're not talking to anyone, you just kind of get into that zone where you just kind of start thinking about things in your head. Nothing too like anxiety ridden, but you're just kind of making out what what's going on in your life, and
Like to process and like sift through all the things that you're dealing with. Like it gives you perspective, because you're like, when you think about a problem without all you look at it very objectively, and there's not all the surrounding noise. It's like you look at the problem and you're like, oh, it wasn't even that big of a deal to begin with, you know? It seems very small compared to like when you're out in nature. Like it makes the world seem bigger and all your problems seem a little bit smaller. You're like, why was I so stressed out about this?
Yeah. I like that reflection. Like I think that's really important too. Being able to reflect on yourself, not being too harsh on yourself, not in a way that you're judging yourself too harshly, but reflecting on your day, reflecting on what you've done, and kind of be like, I did that. I'm proud of myself. Like I accomplished that today, or I'm going to do this. You're kind of coming up with a plan on what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, have you guys ever felt like you've judged yourself too harshly?
All the time, dude.
Yeah.
All the time. You kidding me?
So how do you get that voice out of your head? What do you tell yourself?
So
Just
part of
verbally,
my so I was never like I don't know, but anyway, I've always had a lot of anxiety, and it's always been internal. Like it's never been from other like sources. Like I was never anxious about what was going on around me. It was just like inside. Like it was more about, okay, why am I acting so weird? Like, do they think does this person hate me? It's like more self-criticism. Like, oh my god, why are you acting this way? It was very like self-directed, internal, and very like self-loathing. And I've talked about this on other on our other episodes before, but it was just like it took a lot of time and a lot of work, obviously, to I don't know, just distance myself from that voice and realize that that is my anxiety, and it is not like it's not who I am. It's more like a little devil voice.
Like that's not the reality.
Right.
Like that's just you creating that environment for yourself. Like that's not what the reality is.
Yeah, I think you need to like put yourself in like other people's shoes and like and think if like they see yourself in that perspective. Like that's sometimes I guess do that sort of exercise. Like if I've done something that I thought might have been like a little bit weird, for example, I would say like, oh, did the other person, like I would think of that in the other person's perspective and see if like they would have noticed, or like but if they had, they would have made like a comment or something.
I probably wasn't doing anything weird, or I wasn't doing anything like, it was literally just a voice from nowhere for no reason. It wasn't like, it wasn't even like I was doing anything. It was just still that it's always in the back of my mind, like, chattering at you.
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but
right.
Yeah, I have like that voice as well, like going in all the time, and it's like a constant. It's just like a little person, right? Just like kind of judging you a little bit on like your actions and everything. And sometimes it does make you, or at least sometimes it does make me anxious too, and like makes me feel a certain way, a bit like more apprehensive of what I'm doing and how I'm feeling. But I think like on the flip side, you can also like, you have to make yourself another voice, like one that would sort of speak to your accolades, like stuff that you've done that hasn't been like, so weird. Like you've always been in like a comfortable environment, that's usually how I think about, that situation when I have like that negative voice like, speaking.
You ever remember
too
that?
much.
Do you remember what Hip said when he came on the show? He was like, he has that voice and he's like, I just ignore it. I was like, what?
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
I was like, you just ignore it? Wow.
Like
what
how?
power.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to. Basically, anything that's a negative in your head, you just gotta
You just
stop.
gotta ignore it.
I think I just learned to stop caring as much. Like it was like oh, why are you doing that? Like people are gonna think you're weird, or people hate you, or it's that line of thought. I got to a point in my life where I was like, it's okay, like as long as you are okay with yourself and you don't care what other people are thinking, it'll be okay,
Being able to negate that voice, I think, is super important. Like because you're doing self-harm basically by just letting that voice take over and letting it dictate how you think or how you act every day. Even with your friends. Like what you were saying, Alan, you're like, oh, like, did I do something? Was that weird that I just did? Or like, so then it stops you from being yourself.
Exactly.
So, and sometimes that voice is really harsh. It's saying, oh, like just even on, for example, like your physical look, right? Like if you look at yourself in the mirror, that voice can be like, oh, you're ugly, your head's too big, your eyes too small, like your nose is too big. Like that voice is always there, but what I'm saying is you should focus on the other voice, the ones that's saying that, hey, you're beautiful. Like that's not a big nose. Like that's actually, normal. And hey, that's not a big head. Your head just slightly bigger.
You know what? Actually,
that's not normal.
I mean, I would say
normal.
like that positive voice though. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to hear. So you kind of have to like hype yourself up to do.
Right.
You have to mentally and like consciously say that to yourself.
You know what's so if for people who are listening who actually want like a concrete strategy, something to actually do that helped me, I wrote everything down. So, I just like bought a journal and I started writing. Like if I had a negative thought about myself, I would write it down, and then I would close the book and then come back to it in like a day or two and read it again, and be like, why did I think that about myself? And then if there's a good thought, I would write that down too, close the book, and then come back to it, and then be like, that is still true about me. I'm still doing this cool thing, or I'm still like, I still believe this about myself. And that old me is still, me.
Yeah. I think writing it down helps.
It externalizes it, because then it's like, I could just keep telling myself, but then I don't actually believe it, it's
until
weird.
Until you have like an actual visual, something you can hold in your hand and read back to yourself.
Right. So
like a journal.
The problem with my anxiety was that I would tell myself negative things and believe it, and then I would tell myself like, no, you're actually not like that. But I wouldn't believe what I was saying until I wrote it down, and then it made it physical, made it real. And that's what helped me. I don't know if it'll help other people, but just seeing it out in like your own handwriting, it feels very satisfying. Like, yeah, like there it is.
Do you ever hit a point where you start doubting yourself, and then you kind of refer it back to your book and like, wow, I need to get back to where I was here. Like this is when I was at my like peak, like self-love and care. And like your best self, like you're like, I need to get back to this point. And then does that like help you reset and like get you back to that point?
It does, because you're thinking, there are times when you think like, man, I'll never be like happy, or never be like excitable again. I'll never be like fun. And then you look at the book and you're like, oh yeah, I remember I did that. I was fun. I was happy, and I can get there again.
Yeah, like you're still you.
Exactly.
In a sense.
That's what I was trying to say. It was hard to verbalize it.
Yeah. Like you're still you. That's still Alan.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us needs to, or like should be able to tune out that voice in our head. We all may have our own strategy, and I think writing it down helps, like just seeing it. Also just, find like a good supportive friend that you have, and just kind of talk it out, like say it out loud, externalize it. Like be like, hey, lately I've been feeling like this. Like reach out to someone that you're comfortable with to say, hey, lately I've been feeling like this. Have that person tell you, dude, you're wrong.
Or do what Thinh and I did and make a podcast.
Yeah, just talk about it, dude. Yeah, literally lay it out. That's it.
Yeah. And like honestly, I feel like the people that are listening to your episodes, they can definitely make the connection, and it's helping them one way or another for sure.
Yep.
I do hear a lot from our listeners that how great they they appreciate our episodes. So it's nice to know that people are getting something from this when we talk, when we talk with them about these things.
Yeah, because a lot of listeners have like the same feeling, and then like sometimes you're just so inside your head you don't know if other people are feeling the same thing. So it's nice to hear that other people have the same worries and anxieties.
You're not alone. Like you are not alone. Like whatever you're feeling or experiencing, you're not alone. So I learned this from a TED talk that taught people how to be resilient, right? So resiliency is your ability to bounce back from from anything, basically, anything that's negatively impact your life. Like that's resiliency. So this researcher came up with a very helpful tool for you to become a resilient individual in society. You know, the first thing, she said the first and probably most important thing that you need to realize or you need to be able to do is accept that you're not alone. You know, whatever that happened to you, it probably happened to someone else.
You're not that special.
Yeah, like chill out. Like you're not alone. You know, that's probably the first and most important thing. And then the second thing she says that you should do is not focus solely on the negative, you know, but also acknowledge the positives in your life at that moment. You know, you don't need to be like super positive that it becomes toxic, like that toxic positivity. Like you don't need that, but at least acknowledge the positives in your life without just solely focusing on the negative. You know, like accept that, hey, this happened, but at least here's what it could have been worse. This could have happened, but it didn't. I still have X, I still have Y, I still have Z.
And
I like that. Acknowledge
look what you
the
still got out of it
positives.
too.
I like that.
Yeah.
Recognize and acknowledge the positives, and then don't focus on the negatives.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Highlight the highlights in your life.
Yeah. Like
know?
don't like you still should acknowledge the negative. Like
Yeah.
that will help you grow and be better.
Learn from them.
Learn from your
the
mistakes. Exactly. But don't just let that drive your motivation, drive your day. Also acknowledge the positives around you. Like, you know, like what do you have? You know, that's positive. That's always something.
Be the better you tomorrow.
You gonna put that on a quilt?
Yeah. But be the better you tomorrow.
And I guess I'll finish with the third tool and the final tool that she says is ask yourself this question: is what you're doing now helping or hurting yourself? You know, like let's say you know, something happened, like a tragic happened, whatever. So ask yourself, is what you're doing right now, complaining, moping, or just feeling sorry for yourself, is that helping you? Is that helping the situation? Or is it just making it worse? You know, just ask that question and being able to answer it honestly. That will help pull you up, you know, get off your butts, and let's move on. Let's do something about it. Let's make it better. Let's work. Let's get to work.
Yeah, I like that. I think that concept really helped me in the way I communicate too. Like is what I'm about to say helping this conversation, or is it just making it worse? You know, like when you get into an argument, you're like, something comes into your mind. You're like, wow, I'm about to destroy this person, and then you're like, would that actually really help it? You know, would that make any of us feel better?
Yeah.
We're both mad, and then let's try to fix the problem instead of just arguing about it. You know. But is what I'm about to say, it's funny as hell, but
I like
is it really helpful?
the idea, like the idea of moping and me being around. I don't like that. I don't say the look of myself. I don't like that feeling of
Like
myself.
self-pity.
Yeah, self-pity. Once I start to realize that, I'm like I said in previous podcasts, I think I have pretty good self-awareness on my feelings and emotions. Once I am able to verbalize that I am like not feeling good about myself, I tend to move towards to get that feeling out of myself. You know, I tend to strive to be better, to fix that emotion, like that self-pity, that self-loathing, that self-moping around. Like, I don't like it. I like to be able to make a better Thinh.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's like high emotional IQ, and like not a lot of people have that. And I think like a lot of people, it's I think that's probably like a skill, or like that's something that you can like develop, you know, over time. You just have to realize that, right? And then like reflect on yourself.
Some people are just more positive than others, though, who are able to just. But it's a lot easier for them to compartmentalize that emotion, like just put a cover around it and then, push it out of them.
But here's like some positive people, they're hiding, a lot of the negatives too, that maybe they're not, verbal.
Just not dealing with it.
Right.
Or not letting other people know,
That's what I'm getting
Toxic
at.
positivity.
Is it better to...
There's people who are like positive, you're like, it's okay to feel sad. You don't have to be happy all the time. And they're just like, it's okay. My father died. Just power through it. You're like, come on, man. Feel your emotions.
Yeah.
Learn to grieve. But I never knew that was an actual skill. That's such a really interesting topic.
I think just being able to process your emotion. That's
I mean, we've encountered so many people who are just not good at dealing with their emotions, who are not self-aware, though.
Yeah. But like I said, I think it's something that you can learn.
For sure.
It's not something that, not everyone is born with like high emotional IQ. I think it just takes time. And then eventually, once you know, how you think, how you feel, and what causes you anxiety, I think, you get better at it.
So how do you learn, or how do you work on that skill?
Just some of the stuff that we talked about today. I think, Alan's point about writing your thoughts down, that's one way to do it, and having like a good support group. Definitely like with your support group, I think if you are able to, utilize it and, just let people know like how you're feeling. You once you talk about it, you sort of like hear back, the emotions that you're feeling as well. So then you start to realize, I'm stressed, and this is how I'm feeling, and that you can process it a lot better. A lot of people I know, they sort of just like internalize everything, and they never talk about it.
I think saying it out loud helps a lot, because as soon as you hear it out loud, you realize like the solution right away. You just say it out loud, and you're like, oh, why don't I just do this? And you're like, ugh.
Yeah. But there are a lot of people who are just like inside their head all the time, and that can lead to like really, negative attitudes, and like you lash out on, to other people.
I think the support group is a really good tool.
For sure.
Like, you got to be like a girls' bathroom at a bar. They just all gas each other up. And like, oh my, you're like, you're beautiful.
It's like, you got it, girl.
Yeah.
Work that thing, you know?
Oh, that lipstick, work it.
Yeah.
Yes. I think
he don't deserve you.
That's a good point. I think going back to the back to me being a burnout, like how do I handle it? I think I was able. What really helped me to be able to verbalize it to my coworkers, because we are all
in the same boat.
Same boat, like we're all in the sinking ship together. But at least we can help each other, like, pat our way back to the fucking surface. Oh, sorry, to the surface. But yeah, being able to verbalize it, I highly, for my own anecdotal experiences, being able to verbalize it to someone you trust definitely is the way to go. Like you being able to internalize it, you're not it's hard to break apart or break down what is making you feel that way, what you can do about it. Sometimes a second opinion of someone lending an ear is enough for you to figure things out on your own. And
they don't always have to have the solution. I think just the act of saying how you're feeling and what your problems are, you can just first it makes you feel better. You get it off your chest, and like you might not have the solution now, but like you're probably gonna able to think about it, and then later down the line
just
figure
laying
it out.
it out in front, everything out in front of you, so you can look at it and be like, because when you're thinking about it in your head, sometimes you get caught up in it, but when you say it out loud, and then it's like, oh, it's all laid out, and now we can just like go through it, work through it.
A funny story, I think on the way to the Halloween party, on the car ride, Tiffany was like talking to me about we came in as Forky and Knifey for Halloween. But on the way there, thank you. On the way there, I wasn't really feeling too good about it, only because I was like in my head about it. Tiffany was like, "Tin, what's wrong?" She already knows off the bat like how I am when I'm like when something's wrong. She can just read my expressions the way I'm not like the way I am. I'm not as verbal. And she was like, "Tin, like what's on your mind?" I was like, I like wanted. I was still in the process of like feeling all my feelings because Tiffany made these costumes. However, I wanted to be something else for Halloween. Very trivial things. I'm gonna let you know now. Very trivial things. And she like made the costume, so I was very grateful that she was able to make this really nice, Toy Story costumes. However, I wanted to be something else, so I was like, in my head, I was feeling grateful, but at the same time, I was still like a little upset. So I don't know how to like deal with it. And I talked it out to Tiffany. I told everything to her. It's like, yeah, it's like, tell me what's going on. I was like, I felt like I wanted to be, Squid Game this year.
Oh, dude, I was a Squid Game character.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, exactly. I saw it. I was like, damn, I'm jealous. I was like, I wanted to be Squid Game this year because I don't think it's gonna be Squid Game next year, unless it's like a second season or something. But regardless, I wanted to be Squid Game this year, and we didn't get to do that. And I finally got to tell her and like verbalize it out loud. But however, on the other hand, I'm like, these forky knife outfits, they're like, they're great. They turned out to be a lot better than I thought when she first explained the idea. And I'm just kind of grateful that she was able to make it, and they look good. But now I have everything figured out in my head. Like I should be happy because I'm pretty I'm happy with the costume that we got. However, I had that lingering feeling of me not getting that Squid Game costume still hitting me. So I was like, I just need a little time to cool off, and then I think I'd be good after that, And then she was like, okay, I got you. And then once we got to the party, it was like easy going from there. It was like off my chest. I didn't care about it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, like I think if you held that in, and then that might have like led to something, later down the line.
You just like resented. You just would have resentment
you don't
the
want to
whole
have
night.
Exactly. Yeah. But
yeah, that's like a good, and I think in a relationship, I think communication is definitely key, from both parties to always like communicate how you're feeling and what you want. You might not always get like the thing that you want, but I think letting your partner know, what you want and your feelings definitely makes for a healthy relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it has to limit itself to just relationships. I think just interactions in general.
You can be good. Communication can help you in any aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Like work, like your relationship, your friendships.
Yeah. Like, and also like, acknowledge that or aware that or accept the fact that we're emotional creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Humans are emotional creatures.
No, you're an emotional creature.
Just because I said emotion, just because it doesn't have to be a sad emotion, Alan. Any kind of emotion, it's a whole spectrum. Like, have you seen Inside Out? Like, we have 5 emotions.
Dang, you got 5 whole emotions.
Yeah, and they're all different colors.
Whoa. I actually haven't seen Inside Out yet.
Oh man, highly recommend it.
You gotta watch that tonight.
You'd enjoy it.
You really it's such a great movie.
Yeah.
Is that the one with the little bright color animated character?
Yeah,
like
they're all
like
inside their head.
That would be Joy that you're referring to.
Okay, yeah.
You have to watch that. It's
Tin will cry for sure.
Yeah.
Oh damn,
Bro,
You
I
gotta
cried
watch it.
watching that.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
all right, that's on my list now.
But yeah, but really that's what it is. Like that's why it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just accept the fact that we're emotional creatures and embrace your emotions. Like don't shut one emotion out because that will affect you negatively. Like that will, like I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but that's basically it. Like accept our full spectrum of emotions. Like that's okay.
Yep.
And that's another thing too. Like in society nowadays with like it's so frowned upon on men that men has to be tough. They can't cry. They have to exert certain like emotions. They have to hold certain face. They have to act certain ways.
There's like a stigma for them to be soft, or a stigma against them for being soft or being vulnerable, being emotional.
Yeah.
Where they have to be cold, cold-hearted, no emotions, and like carefree, and like getting things done and doing the manly way.
Yeah, like screw that. Like I'll tell people like, yeah, I cry sometimes when I watch movies. Like, yeah, like that movie was hella good, and the ending really got to me. It really connected, or it really resonated with me. So yeah, like I'll say it. I don't care, but I feel like that aspect in society now too is it's kind of making people afraid of showing their emotions. or just being able to talk about their emotions with other people because they're afraid that that person's going to judge them. Like, oh, this person's so weak. Like, why is he complaining about this? Things like that. And I don't think that's a good way to think. That's not a good mentality for you to have.
It's not a healthy mentality.
Right.
You know?
For sure.
Because you're shutting yourself off from these emotions, like you said. You know, you got to be able to embrace them, embrace your spectrum of emotions. Like, know who you are and why you are feeling these things, and then work towards to having a better, positive outlook on life while you identify these things. You know,
I think that's especially the case in America too, because this country is built on the idea of like individualism. You're just like, you have to work hard to get to where, and you can't rely on other people. But sometimes you just need to lean on other people for support and be like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. Like, can you help me figure it out? You know?
Yeah.
And people don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I guess at the end of the day, or at the end of this episode, really, hopefully you're able to, you know, pick up some advice, some things that we share. Hopefully that will help you, you know, address what's going on, and, you know, help you think about your problems differently. You know, we're always here to listen, and we can always do another podcast on this.
for sure. I'm always down for these podcasts.
Like, I love this kind of talk just because it really, I feel like as long as we can help one person, you know, it's worth it.
That's true.
Yeah. So, all right, so you guys can start your thing.
Okay. So as you all know, we like to do a little segment at the end of the show called "What's Up with You," where you know, kind of go into what you are into nowadays, what your hobby is, what are you looking up recently, what research, you know, whatever you're into. Like, what's up with you? What you've been doing?
You want to start, Thinh?
Sure.
What's up with you, Thinh?
What's up with me? Lately, well, I'm trying to get this couch set up. All right, for the past like month, we've been looking up the couches and like furniture to my new house, and we finally just got the couch. It took a lot of time to like figure out what kind of couch we wanted.
If you need help like setting it up, just let me know. You know, I only live 15 minutes away from you.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, it should be pretty easy to set up. It was advertised like 10 to 20 minutes set up time, so like it should be pretty like easily. But like that's honestly, I'm just ready for this couch, to be honest. Like, we had
upstairs right now
in the boxes, yeah, but we're missing one of the 5 boxes. Yeah, we have 5 boxes total, and we only have one that's missing.
But can you set like the 5 boxes up without the last piece, or is that last piece critical?
I don't know, but I don't want to try.
Okay. Wait, is this because they didn't ship it to you, but in error, or
no, it's not an error. This is because the truck that came to deliver that last box got there after the delivery truck left already.
Oh, wow. That's
yeah.
dumb.
It was weird because I don't know why that
why
one box was with the other truck. Man, beyond me, dude. Anyways, other than that, I've been also just focusing on like finishing my BSN. Now that I'm not really working at the moment, I'm in this lull period where I kind of have some time. I've been doing a lot of home things. And honestly, back a little bit related to the well-being thing, or human. I haven't been like doing so much as coming out. Now that I've moved into this house, I kind of just been more of a homebody. I'm not really stretching to come out as much anymore. I'm just doing more so what can I do for the house, because there's always something to do for the house. Before, when I was back in my parents' house, I used to be so eager to get out. Like, I'm just living with my parents for 28 to 29 years and never having my own like place or apartment or anything. This is like finally a good fresh of breath air. Being
a breath of fresh air.
A breath. What did I say?
Fresh of breath air.
Oh my god. Anyways, I'm gonna go with that. A fresh of breath air, and having this place for myself, I'm just like, dang, this is literally like my castle,
Yeah, because when we were younger, it used to be like, dang, we gotta go out, we gotta go party, like we can't stay home, we gotta go, downtown. Now it's like, I just want to stay home and work on my house.
Exactly. There's always something to be doing around the house, and I'm not missing or FOMOing as much as I would before.
You know, interestingly, just a few episodes ago, like all you guys were talking about was FOMO. You and Florence, the episode.
Right? Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
were like, "Oh, can't miss this, can't miss this." I was like, "Who cares, guys?"
Right? Exactly. Like when I get invited to come out, I was like,
Nah.
I can go out and do something, but I can also do all these things at home. You know, I can like water the plants,
never ending list.
Yeah, like vacuum the floors or do some laundry. You know, it's just something to do at home, and it's nice to have your own space.
I know how you feel.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy doing the house stuff though? Like having your
I do.
list?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, what helps me, another mental health tip, by the way. I play music really loud, enough to just hear throughout the whole house, and I will dance while I'm like doing stuff around the house, and I'll sing, I'll dance. I'm just feeling myself. You know, I'm like maybe I have one beer and I'll do it, be a little loosey, and then I'll be just watching, washing clothes, doing laundry. If it picks the earbuds in.
Mm-hmm. I'm having that scene with Tom Cruise in his underwear dancing.
Yeah, exactly. Is it Mrs. Doubtfire too, where she's like cleaning the house and just kind of
just jamming.
Exactly. This just helps me kind of get lose my mind just to music, and just helps me move my body more that way too.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been up to. That's my my dishwasher.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's up with you, Alan?
Honestly, I've been here a lot. I hang out with Sabrina a lot, and then she lives really close, so we just come over and hang out. And recently I've gotten into little small projects, like I am making cider and fermenting cider in like a big jug. We just juiced a bunch of apples, threw some yeast in there, and then we're letting it ferment. And then the next step will be to bottle it, let it carbonate, and then it's ready to drink.
Is the cider heavy? Maybe you should show it for the video.
I'm kind of scared to move it.
Oh.
Is there a way for us to kind of tell what's the alcohol percentage in it once it's done?
Just let it ferment all the way. 50%.
The longer you leave it, the more alcohol. And then I think it'll probably only be like 5 or 6%. Yeah.
The next thing you know, Alan's gonna start making moonshine.
That you need an actual distiller, like.
I'm sure you can order a kit from somewhere.
Yeah. You just go on YouTube. That's how you learn how to do everything. Hey, what's up with you?
Yep.
Vince too.
So I haven't been to the gym in like over 2 years since I moved back to Philly or Havertown or like the suburbs, and I just recently started going again like last week, and ever since then my whole body has been like super sore and like I've been like super tired.
Hurts so good though, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm working out with my friend who's been lifting for like over 10 years.
Oh shit.
And he's been criticizing my form, and apparently my form for like 2 of my lifts have been completely wrong for the whole time I've been lifting back up in New York. So right now I'm just trying to correct it, starting low again, and then trying to build my strength up.
Good.
Nice, dude.
And then otherwise I've been just working on the house. Same with Thinh, just always like something to do with the house.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the next step is we got to finish furnishing the dining room. So we're going to look for some dining chairs. And then at some point, we're going to have to start in the backyard, put up a fence, lights, and all that.
Nice.
More housework.
It's always something to do for the house.
What's up with you?
Lately, it's just a lot of work, a lot of working. So work has definitely been picking up for me during this time because it's coming to recruitment season, and then a lot of projects are coming to a due date-ish. So I've been spending a lot of my time at work. I've been probably coming back home like later, like an hour or two later each day, which stinks. But other than that, I feel very proud of myself to being able to make my own ramen for the first time.
Nice.
Like, it was like 2
Ooh.
weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I made ramen from scratch. I bought all the ingredients, cooked the broth, got the umami flavor in there.
Nice.
So I was super proud because that's
That's
something
like an
that
overnight process, right?
I used the pressure cooker.
Oh.
So I had it run in a pressure cooker for like 2 hours. So then once
crazy.
once it came out, the meat was like super soft and like all the ingredients were like infused into the broth, and it was delicious. Like, it's crazy because this is something that I've always thought, like, oh man, making ramen is so hard. I don't want to make this. I just want to go buy and eat it. But being able to make it now, I'm like, check.
Nice.
Feel super proud of myself.
Nice job,
I
dude.
think there's like a ramen YouTube channel as well. I think I've seen some episodes. They actually show you the ingredients and like what it goes into, like making like certain recipes for ramen. You should
Did they
check
teach
it
you?
out. Like he goes into like the ingredients and like the methods. Yeah.
Cool. I'll check it out. Send me the details. I'll check it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. I'll look it up and I'll let you know.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our special collaboration episode with RxUnedited and OCudcast. Again, thanks for waiting out for this episode. Thank you, Dwee, for contacting me to set this up.
This
is
honestly like never would have happened.
Yeah, if you-
we've been slacking on the podcast.
yeah, for sure. I think we've just been busy with a lot of things going
Yeah.
on with our lives right now.
Yeah.
But
New
this was a
jobs.
good,
We-
with jobs.
Both of us got new jobs. Tin got a new
Yeah.
house. It's busy.
Yeah.
Mhm. So thank you for making
Of
this
course.
happen, dude, setting this up. So yeah, tune in till next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.